morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I am here this lovely Monday morning, not with David, but with someone I would rather be with on a Monday morning. No offense to David. My husband is joining us today, Mordechai, who has been with us on other episodes before, but just not in a while. And so I'm excited, and I hope you are too, to have him back and to shed some light on the opportunities we have this week. This week we are talking about 7 tips for self-love. And in general, on the Weekly Energy Boost, we provide our listeners with the most powerful and practical tools to navigate the coming 7 days. We're going to have 7 tips for 7 days. But this week specifically, we're focusing on the energy as it really is supporting us to tune inward and be more conscious, pun intended, of the desires of our soul. Inevitably, every week on the Weekly Energy Boost, when we share the time-based suggestions, wisdom, and tools as we learn them from the wisdom of Kabbalah, those lessons end up being lessons that we can use and tools that we can use any day of the year. And this is another one of those weeks where we want to bring attention to the fact that the universe has supported us and is supporting us throughout this time period that we've been talking about to be more, to strengthen our spiritual selves. That the process of the month of Virgo and the month of Libra is a reboot. And it's a spiritual reboot that also impacts our emotional world, our mental world, and our physical world. So we want to make sure this week, perhaps more than any of the weeks so far, that we are tuned in to probably the most quiet and still parts of ourselves, that where the truth lies, where the wisdom exists, where the strength is always for us, but because we're so busy and distracted and the to-do list and everything else we have going on, it's the last part of this ourselves that we really honor. So, anything you want to add to we need a little bit of an introduction before we dive into the tips.
It's all true. Yeah, it's really the week of being able to listen to our soul. And the truth is that if we even pause for a moment and take the time to realign ourselves with who we are internally, so many things are going to manifest and come out externally in the best way possible. So it's like, I would say, it's like being a spiritual sniper. You have one spiritual bullet. What are you going to do? If you have like lots of bullets, you're going to shoot everywhere. You might hit the target, but you want to aim first. And this is the week of aiming, the week of listening to our soul. And when we listen to our soul and when we aim, it takes only one bullet. It's like one of my students told me recently, like, that she really wants to find the right person for her. She's dating. I'm dating so many guys. I said, well, you don't need, it's not about the dating, how many guys you're dating. It's about finding the right one. So it's really about being able to align ourselves with who we truly are and to remove the veils. So we'll be able to manifest much more and enjoy more life with less effort as we perceive it.
Okay, ready? Get ready, get set. Here we go. Tip number 1. We need to see the benefits. Or let's say if every tip is a suggestion, our suggestion is see the benefits of self-love. Why is that? Why is that the first one? I guess in a way, the whole episode is going to be convincing you to love yourself and to listen to your soul, which is the true you. But why is it important to see the benefits of self-love?
So we start with the idea that the Kabbalists teach us that this is the wisdom of Kabbalah that we are dealing with, and Kabbalah comes from the word to receive. So the Kabbalists always remind them and ourselves, what's in it for me? What do I want to receive from this? And the Kabbalists encourage us to ask the why. Why am I doing this? Why should I be loving myself? What are the benefits of self-love? So I'll just name maybe a few of them, so we'll be able to get more motivated. When you love yourself, things on the outside, let's say someone said something, it doesn't throw you off. Something that usually would have maybe pushed your buttons in the past. That's one thing. Second thing, you get to enjoy more everything that you're doing, because if you really love yourself, you are able to receive more from everything that you do. And certain things you just won't do because you wouldn't do it to your soul. Yes, there are times to go against our nature. There are times to extend ourselves to others. But there are also times that if you love yourself, you wouldn't do it to yourself. And that goes further to what you eat, how you conduct yourself. When we talk about well-being is about self-love. When you love yourself, you are connected to your well-being. You're being well. So, and another benefit that I'll just mention here, we probably all familiar with the concept of love your neighbor or love your friend. I don't know about your neighbor, but love your friend as you love yourself. Rav Ashlag, the founder of the center, says that you cannot really give that which you do not have. So if you want to be able to experience love in your life, you have to give love. If you want to experience happiness, you have to give happiness. So in a similar way, if I want to experience more love in my life, I have to give more love. If the individual doesn't love themselves enough, they don't have love to give. So it starts with being able to love yourself, which is the very opposite of being selfish. Right? There's a fine line between self-love that comes from the energy of the ego, like this guy is like really thinking too high of himself. I remember many times, if you look externally on our teacher, the Rav Berg, which the Rav is a Leo, you would many times think like, whoa. I mean, externally, you don't really know the Rav, you never experienced the Rav. You would think externally like, this guy has so much pride, so much thinking high of himself. But it's to be able, and there's two things, right? There's the self-love, which is internally, and there's what we might perceive as the self-love externally, which is crossing the line of being too much busy with yourself. It's not about being busy with myself, it's about being able to charge my battery, because I want to be able to share more, I want to be able to receive more light. It's a necessity, it's essential to be able to charge my battery, and that's through self-love. Self-love is our charging station.
You just kind of gave away the second one, which is
it's a promo for the...
Well, to me, that's proof that it's the right one to come next, is to set our intention. And I think that that's where a lot of people put the self-love journey to the wayside, because they think it's either selfish or it can be even confusing. Kabbalah talks all about that we're here to share, that we're here to shine our light, we're here to help others, and the value of, we talk about it in almost every episode, adding value to other people's lives, being in service, doing for the sake of sharing. So it makes caring, being interested in myself, it sounds selfish. So you already said the goal or the intention behind true and fruitful self-love is so that I can give from a fulfilled place.
Right. And when we talk about the intention is very much connected to the energy of the seed level. So you want to do it especially in the beginning of the day. You want to close your eyes, even if it's for a few minutes, and even listen to your breathing, and ask yourself, after you already maybe even written down for yourself, what are the benefits for you for self-love, how your life is going to be different, better, when you really, truly loving yourself. And then comes the setting of the intention. So at least once a day, recommended in the beginning of the day, but you can also do it in between meetings. You can do it before an important event that you have throughout the day. Once you know why do you want the self-love, you want to set the intention. My intention through this, let's say right now we are sharing this episode, my intention as a result of this is to come out of this episode loving myself more, loving my soul more, appreciating my soul more, appreciating the light that the Creator has given to me, that is unique to me, that no one else has that specific unique light. Otherwise, there wouldn't be two people. If there would be two people with the same exact light, then one of them doesn't really need to exist. So each and every one of us has unique light. Now, when I set my intention, when we set our intention in the right way, after knowing why am I doing this, everything is going to be following that intention. So it's very important that I say, and it's even one line, my desire out of this is to get to know myself more, love myself more, love my soul more. So it's very important, even if it's one line on what do you want to receive from this. Yeah, it's essential that we set our intention. I want to get to know my soul better, and as a result, loving my soul better. So that's when it comes to setting the intention.
It's not a coincidence, by the way, that the actual title of the episode is 7 Tips for Self-Care for Males and Females, because it's self-care has a very salon-inspired reputation, right? Self-care is getting a mani-pedi. Self-care is getting a massage. Self-care is pampering myself. That may be, and we'll talk about the different, how you can be more connected to what is self-love for you. That may be self-love for you, but you may not resonate with the pampering aspect of self-love at all. So it's important to understand that the soul, right, in the physical reality, we may have different roles and hats that we wear and different energies that we resonate with more strongly or more dominantly. But on a soul level, there isn't a difference when it comes to nurturing and nourishing the self. There are other areas in life, right? If I hear as you're talking, a couple weeks ago, we also talked about that and the burden of the endless to-do list. And David and I listened to something on the way to the studio. I guess it was Joe Rogan. He was talking about how burned out men are and how hard it is for them to interrupt that cycle of that burden of obligation and responsibility and providing, right? It's not it's self-care, self-love seems to have this like female vibe to it.
It's a luxury we cannot afford.
Right, and men can't afford it. So part of the slant that we want to make sure is clear for everybody here listening now, or if you're listening 2 years from now, it doesn't matter, is that we are unified, regardless of how you identify. We are unified in this challenge. It's a challenge for all. Maybe not. Maybe other people have perfected it already, but it's a challenge for most people, regardless of their age, anything, to maintain this nurturing of the self for a reason. It's not. It provides us with an opportunity to express that the unique nature of my vessel, to take care of myself. Exactly. is in a way an act of appreciation and gratitude for the unique person that I am.
And don't worry how it's going to unfold, because you might be worrying from a place of control, like, how am I going to love myself today? When you set the right intention, you will get clues throughout the day on how you're supposed to love yourself. And every day is different. And when you set the right intention, everything is going to be aligned. I remember from my teachers, from Rav and Karen, many, many times, they told us, we have done a lot of mistakes throughout the journey. But when your heart is in the right place, meaning you set your right intention, even if you made a mistake, the Creator will align it so it will turn out to be for the best. And that's the key. If you understand why you're doing this and you set your intention, even if we're all going to make mistakes. If your heart is in the right place, if you set your intention in the beginning, it's all going to turn out for the best.
Okay, so now our third tip. I got to keep remembering that word. Our third tip for self-love is to choose an environment that will support us in the best way.
Right. So here it's very simple, right? If you take a seed and you try to grow it on the table, it's not going to work, right? And in a similar way, it's important that we choose the best environment that we can choose to nurture our self-love. Because if someone is in an environment that is relatively spiritually toxic, even if they plant the best seeds, that seed is not necessarily going to grow as it could, because the individual doesn't get the support, the right light of the sun, the right watering, the right nutritions. So in a similar way, right, let's say I set my intention and I have the desire and I'm ready for the day, and then the individual is going through setbacks with different people that are treating him in a way that is less than human dignity. And it can be in different places. It can be at someone's home. It can be in even children that become already later on young adults that treat their parents in a way that is toxic and lack of human dignity. And it can be also at the workplace. And even if the person has the right intention, the environment is essential. And today, thanks to technology, we can really connect even with the virtual environment. So let's say you have certain people in your life that you cannot control, at least not right now. You cannot control that they are in your life. It can be your boss, it can be a certain co-worker, it can be someone that you have to do, at least for now, business with. First of all, don't worry about it, because if you set your intention, it's only a matter of time. That if the person is not aligned with your intention, they will either have to change and transform, or they won't be able to be part of your journey, because you are turning on the light by setting the intention. But on top of that, you can add support. How do you add support? By choosing, even if it's a virtual environment. We have, thanks to technology, in the Kabbalah Center, classes through Zoom, video conferencing. You can have a mentor. You can have, we have groups of discussion after every class. And if you are physically next to a center, you can actually come and interact with the energy field of the center. But even if not, there are different ways. Even volunteering. You can volunteer from your home and connect in a greater way with the energy field of the center. You can meet with a teacher on an ongoing basis. Every time that you do either one of those, attending a class, meeting with a teacher, having a discussion group after a class, volunteering, even from your home, there are many ways to volunteer. All of these are tools to create your virtual environment that is uplifting you. Then the way I love to share, it's like you taking a deep breath before you are diving in. So you're about to get into your workplace, and there's one individual that is toxic, and you set your intention and you have your desire. You take a deep breath on the evening before, the day before, when you came back from work and you attended the class, you met with your teacher, you volunteered even for 30 minutes from your home. You have reservoir, you have energy to get into that water, to dive in and still come out with the self-love. And it won't affect you as much because you are strong enough. You have charged your battery enough.
The next one is perhaps my favorite one, and that is to love yourself according to your love language. And we've talked on Weekly Energy Boost about the 5 love languages. It's a book, pretty famous book by Gary Chapman, who through his work as a minister in his spiritual home, in his church, he found that there are 5 love languages that are words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, physical touch, and quality time.
Yes.
And the premise is that if you're, in order to better love your partner or your parents or your children for that matter, your friends, if you know their love language and you love them according to their love language, they will feel loved. So if your partner, if their love language is acts of service, by doing acts of service to them, for them, they will feel loved. The irony is, or the paradox is, that we don't always love ourselves according to our love language. And I believe this is like the editorial portion of the episode. I think that's because as children, we know our love language and we know how to treat ourselves and we know what makes us feel good. Even if we don't articulate it, we don't go, hey, mommy, my love language is acts of service, so I want you to do more for me. No, but what happens is through the subliminal messaging that we receive from our environment, which again goes back to number 3, we often shut down that part of ourselves that loves ourselves, that gives us, that expresses love of the self. So, for example, let's say you are the acts of service person or you are the quality time child and your parents are busy and you have other siblings that you compete with for time and love and energy. And so you, in a way, you can teach yourself, there's no time. There's no time for me right now. I have to shrink myself. I have to be busy taking care of other people. We get a lot of mixed messaging as children that, of course, we understand in Kabbalah helps set us up for our tikkun. But at the same time, it also distances us from our true voice, from the voice of our soul that has all the knowledge and knows how to nurture and nourish the self. And so what ends up happening is we have to relearn it, often in the form of a romantic relationship, because it's really only that reflective process. I know my husband, right over here, sitting to my right, gave me the book. I don't know how many years ago, and it was such an eye-opener. It's like solving one of the great mysteries of the world. Why two people who care so much about each other and love each other so much can be at odds with one another all the time, or feel unloved or unheard or unseen. And it happens a lot. I mean, I work with a lot of people. The majority, if I'm honest, the majority of them are women, my students personally. And a lot of them struggle with achieving that balance of taking care of myself and taking care of others. And inevitably, there is a parental voice in the head that says, we don't have time for this. We have to take care of everybody else. This doesn't, who is this actually helping? We have this programming. And I highly recommend the book if you haven't read it already. But just that being in touch with the self and knowing this is what nurtures and nourishes me. And it's not selfish to give it to myself or to ask for it from other people, because that is, again, what fortifies me so that I can go out there and be in service and add value and be there for the people in my life or contribute to the world around me. So it's counterintuitive, because our programming is, it's not efficient, it's selfish, we don't have time, it doesn't increase my bottom line, so why would I invest in it, right? If it's not putting money in the bank for me, why would I invest in it? But here comes Weekly Energy Boost telling you it does put money in your bank. It does give you the fuel and the energy and the inspiration and the protection to allow you to express who you are, your nature, your value, your goodness on a higher level.
It's funny because it reminds me this saying that some people say, we complete each other. What you're actually saying when you say about your spouse, your partner, we complete each other, that he or she are in charge on charging my battery of the self-love. And it's very wrong in the sense that how can, maybe it's wireless charging, but you're expecting another charger to charge your device, your internal battery. And so if you look at the 5 love languages, for example, mine is words of affirmation, and the secondary is...
You're going to see all the comments start to pour
physical.
in. You're amazing. You're the best. Yes. You're fabulous.
Physical touch is the secondary. So I need to use more affirmations throughout the day. In my meditations, in everything that I do, I need to say it or even read the affirmation. And when it comes to physical touch, I cannot expect someone else right now to touch me, but I can do things that are physically...
We're too far away to touch one another.
That are physically good for my body, that my body enjoys. Even if it's like a foot massage or even in the middle of the day, hugging myself. Now, if it's quality time, then you want to find time during the day that you just spend with yourself. That you're really giving time that you enjoy yourself. If it's actions of service, wonderful. So actions of service is like, what are you going to do, not for others, what are you going to do for you? Because you need to charge your battery. What are you going to do? What am I going to do for me today? And the last one, which is the energy of the gifts, gift yourself. You don't have to wait for your birthday. To gift yourself certain things, but it can be even writing for yourself a love letter.
Treating yourself.
Yeah, treating yourself. What do I love about you? Like making for yourself gifts. Buying even something small. It doesn't have to be big. That shows you how much you love yourself. Sometimes people don't buy something because they calculate, I don't know if I have the money or this can wait. But if your love language is gifts, this cannot wait. You have to...
We're putting people into debt as you're talking.
No, but you look at the product and you have a desire to give it, to purchase it, but purchase it with the intention, this is my way to show myself love. And then you hit the purchase button.
Okay. Number 5.
Do not do it before.
And do not say that we gave you permission to do it. Number 5, set at least 15 minutes a day for yourself to do nothing. My
Yes.
skin is crawling as the words roll off my tongue. Please, what do
Yeah.
we mean by that? Because
Very
I
simple.
can't speak to something that I can't do.
So last time I checked, I got this from one of my mentors. We are human beings. We're not human doings. And along the way, some of us, maybe many of us, have transitioned to become human doings. I mean, we look at people that are... I'm just going to give maybe an extreme example. We look at people that are... Maybe it's a friend of ours or someone that we know or that are very much engaged with meditations and looking inside and listening to themselves and all of that. Awesome, right? But what many of us might think, and we probably won't say it, this guy is like, or this lady is like, they're not productive. They're wasting time. They're too spiritual. And there's a whole study that was done about business leverage that they found out, it's one of the actually 5 keys of success in business, but of being able to handle high vibration, that when you are engaged with quiet time, even if it's a meditation, the rest of your day is much more productive. And when you are quieting, doing nothing, that's when you're going to get creativity and great ideas and things going to come up your way. And this machine, our brain, our mind, our computer, is continuously working. Every machine has to have a certain time that it goes on idle. Otherwise, it's going to burn out.
Why isn't
Some
sleep,
people, by the way...
Why isn't sleep going on idle?
Because some people, even when they are asleep, they are restless. So if you want to have even a better sleep, when you have 15 minutes a day in your awake time, that you intentionally set the time. By the way, many people even think that sleep is a waste of time.
So can you talk for 2 minutes about the work that you do with people in the sleep and dream consultation thing?
Yes,
because this is something I know that you've worked with a couple people that I'm close with who you've spoken about this specifically with them.
right.
That their perception is that sleeping is a waste of time, so I can't sleep too long, and I don't want to enjoy it too much because then I might do it too much.
Yeah. So usually, what we usually do when a person fills up the form for the service, so you ask, right, what do you want? And some people have certain problems in their sleep, and some people want to have the ability to do spiritual things, sending messages, receiving messages, doing the spiritual work. And for those that ask for both, usually we start with dealing with the challenge that they have. And we go over the 4 segments of the day, waking up, how you conduct yourself throughout the day, how you prepare yourself for sleep, and the actual sleep, to improve each and every one of those segments to allow yourself to receive better sleep, and as a result also better dreams. But it starts with changing the perception and the belief system that sleeping is a waste of time, or sleep is for people that do nothing, or this guy just sleeps the whole day, or and actually being awake till late time seems like more productive, more active, and those that sleep late, they're like not considered to be active. Right? Like time wasters, bums, or
That's how sleeping is how I express my self-love.
Yeah, but people don't know that it's genetic physically, and spiritually, it's part of your spiritual DNA. That some people go to sleep at the early birds, some people go to sleep in the middle, around 10:30, and some people are late nighters, they are the owls. So they can't do anything about it, even if they try. And I believe one of our girls is one of those, right? Night owls. We force it, but you could see that she comes out of the bed again and again and again until she falls asleep. It's part of the energy, part of the DNA. So first it starts with changing the perception. So with the quiet time, you want to change your perception, that you hear this voice telling you, oh my God, 15 minutes? I can't afford right now 15 minutes to waste on doing nothing. But it's actually doing so much more than everything else that you're going to do.
By the way, try it.
Don't believe it. Try it. Yeah,
Try
exactly.
it. You have a whole week till we give you more assignments on the next weekly energy boost. Take 15 minutes every day this week and do nothing.
Nothing.
Leave your phone.
Shut your phone.
It means no scrolling. There's no scrolling. There's no texting or answering emails. You are literally put a timer on your phone and then put it out of reach and do nothing until the timer goes off.
Highly recommended to add an incliner that you can put your legs on. Recliner, sorry. my mistake. You can add also an incliner. To add a recliner to that experience, because it adds more energy.
Relax. In other words, you should be relaxed. You shouldn't be stressed out. Okay, number 6, but we're going to get cut off. It's going to end up being 6 tips for self-love. Date your soul.
Yes. So the Zohar, the main text of Kabbalah, teaches us that each and every one of us, as we come into this world for a spiritual journey, we have 4 support systems. The Creator, angels, righteous souls, and our soul. Usually when I ask people what is the most important relationship that you have in your life, so some people might say their spouse, their kids are the most important for them. Some people are more spiritual, they would say the Creator. Most of the people don't say my soul. In other words, your soul is the one that spends I would say most of the time with you, because also when you go to sleep, the majority of your soul leaves the physical body, unless you have a sleep situation and you sleep in very lightly. So a big part of your soul is actually staying in the body, because you don't feel safe enough to elevate every night. But in general, the idea is to learn to date your soul. And my wife can vouch for that it's natural that in the beginning of the journey, when you date, you are more kind, to say the least. Right? I mean, what would you like to do?
You show your best self.
Yes. What would you like to do? You're very gentle. Sometimes even like not really saying what you want to do, or not saying it in that way. And as Jerry Seinfeld, my birth date mate, said once, that once you get married, it becomes a democracy. You have to vote on everything. Before it was a dictatorship. You decided. So a lot of people skip the dating of their soul. They throw themselves to life, and they put others before them, and they're ending up feeling deprived, feeling no energy, no battery. So you want to start to date your soul. How do you do that? Continuously engage with your soul by asking questions. What would you like to do now? What will make you the happiest right now? What would you like to do today? Asking yourself different questions. Someone just said something to you. How do you feel about asking your soul? How do you feel about what they just said? Do you want to answer? You prefer not to answer? What do you think is the best? What do you feel is the best? And just act on the answers, or don't act. So that's dating your soul. And the more you do it throughout the day, the more your soul will, which is the soft voice that is within you. It's not the loud voice. The more and more your soul will be speaking to you. So it's a wonderful, wonderful dating process.
It's incentivizing. It goes back to number 1.
Yes.
It's important to hear all of this, but I think your intentions, it'll be easier to set your intentions after you listen to this week's episode.
And you'll be able to become in love with yourself. but not in a way that is egocentric.
Not in an arrogant way.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so good, right?
Did you see what I did today? Wasn't I amazing? Okay, the last one.
Yes.
And this is, I'm going to, if you don't mind.
I want to leave it to you.
I'm going to take this one because I feel very passionate about it. Don't be surprised if the self-love practices you adopt make you or other people uncomfortable. Don't be surprised if your self-love practices make you or other people uncomfortable. You first and foremost, because again, going back to what I shared a few minutes ago, we have reprogrammed ourselves or deprogrammed ourselves from loving ourselves. So it is uncomfortable to relearn those practices, those habits, those rituals and those self-care habits that are natural to us as long as we don't shut them down. So it may, I know somebody, I spoke with someone on the phone, you would be so proud. I think they heard you speaking about it not long ago, and they said, that they look in the mirror every day, they make eye contact, they look at themselves in the mirror. This is an adaptation of a Louise Hay meditation. And you look in the mirror and you tell yourself, I love you. What can I do for you today? Mm-hmm. That is such an awkward thing to do initially. But it is so powerful and profound. Even the waking up, this is one of the bigger steps for me. And for those of you who've been listening for a long time, you know that my mornings can be rough. One of the greatest acts of self-love that I do is I wake up before my house wakes up. It is also one of the most physically difficult things I do in the course of my day.
And I admire you for that.
I love to sleep. I'm confessing here. I love sleeping. I enjoy it very much. So to cut out even 15 minutes of a leg up on the rest of my family is so important for me. When I don't do it, I didn't do it yesterday actually, and I really had a rough day. I let a couple other things slide in the morning that I didn't do, but it's uncomfortable for me, but I also am so much better all day long because of it. And so that for me is a perfect example, the looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you, looking yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, very difficult. Being able to put up those boundaries of you need time for yourself. You're allowed to, giving yourself permission for all the things that you don't give yourself permission to. But the second piece is other people's discomfort. And it's something that I've been reading a lot about with regard to parenting, that, a lot of us are, as parents, we are trained to believe, or we have the false belief that we can't take time for ourselves, or we can only have time for ourselves when the kids are asleep, or when they move out, we'll take time for ourselves. We'll go on vacation, just the two of us, when they're in college. Well, you won't have money when they're in college to go on vacation. So anyway, the point is that practicing self-love and self-care can look at the outset like you are taking time from someone else to give it to yourself. Do not fall to that illusion, and do not let their dissatisfaction with the missing 15 minutes that you were, you went outside to meditate, or you closed yourself in the room and you said, I need this time for myself, or you said really something so tiny as, I'm going to be with you in a minute. I'm first going to enjoy my cup of coffee.
And I have to say, for all of our viewers and listeners, that yesterday you did it very well with our kids.
Not really.
Yes. I can testify that really like to get to a place that it started with all of the kids really to say, I need time. And then the youngest one also said, like, even though she heard it, she kept on approaching, and in a very nice and kind way, I need the time. I need now the time for myself. Beautiful.
Thank you. I do this podcast for validation exclusively.
Absolutely.
So anyway, hopefully, and maybe I'll run through the list one more time really quick. One is see the benefits. You have to see the benefits in order to buy into it, as with anything, but especially something as invaluable as self-love. Set your intention behind your self-love and your self-love practices. Choose an environment that's going to support you in the best way. Love yourself according to your love language. Set quiet time for at least 15 minutes a day in which you do nothing. Throw the phone out of your reach. date your soul, and don't be surprised if your self-love makes you or other people uncomfortable. I think we did a good job.
Yes.
If you are interested in hearing more about the sleep and dream coaching that my significant other does, you can visit weeklyenergyboost.com and read up all about it and see how you can, if it's interesting for you and if you need it, how you can gain
Only if you're
access.
ready to do the work.
Yes, it is not easy, but it's totally worth it. And there's a number of other amazing things that he does that maybe we can talk about in a future episode. We've also talked about it before, but maybe we'll work it in going forward. As always, we want to invite you to like, rate, review, and share this episode. We all, not only are we all guilty of not loving ourselves enough, but that it's a malady that most of the modern world falls to. So please share. You can follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We are on all podcast platforms. And of course, visit our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, to see the other things that we think are interesting, powerful, and important for our listeners to learn. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.